Srimad, His Divine Grace Bhagavatam, Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, Islam founder Acharya, Prabhupada Jai, Ananda Gauti, Vaishnava Vrinda Jai, Namacharya, Haridas Thakur Jai, Seko, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Dvaita, Shri Goswami Gaur, Bhakti Jai, Shri Krishna, Govinda Stein Kunda, Radhakunda, Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Majuranam Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Swami Ki Jai, Namai Ki Jai, Shivali Vasi, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gold. All glory is the Son, all glory is the Son, all glory is the Son, all glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay, so we are reading today from the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 7. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I will just read it and then we'll go on to word by word. Jayamana Sura Surorga Sila Gandharva Vijadara Muni Kanarana Varatamana Mudita Vikrita Divalochana Sulalita Mukharikam Ritenapya Yamana Swap Parshada Vibhuda Yukta Patin Abahim Lana Raganava Tulasika Muda Madhva Svena Madjan Madhukara Vrata Durakita Shriyam Vajayantim Swam Vanamalam Nilavaseka Kundalo Vala Kakuri Krita Subhaga Sundara Pujo Bhagavan Mahendro Varanendra Iva Kanchanim Kaksha Mudara Lilo Vivarti. So, we'll repeat. Yayamanaha. Being meditated upon. Sura of demigods. Asura, demons. Uraga, snakes. Siddha, inhabitants of Siddhaloka. Gandharva, inhabitants of Gandharva Loka. Vidyadhara, Vidyadharas, Muni, and of great sages. Ganahai, by groups. Anava, Namarata, constantly. Madhurata, delighted by intoxication. Vikrita, moving to and fro. Vivala, rolling. Lochana, whose eyes. Sulalita, excellently composed. Mukharika, of speech. Amritena, by the nectar. Apyayamanaha, teasing. Swaparshada, his own associates. Vibhuda Yuktapatim, the heads of different groups of demigods. Aparim Lana, never faded. Raga, whose luster. Nava, ever fresh. Tulasika, of the Tulasi blossoms. Amuda, by the fragrance. Madhu Ashavena, and the honey. Madhyan, being intoxicated. Madhukarata, of the bees. Madhura Gita, by the sweet singing. Shriyam, which is made more beautiful. Vaijayanti, the garland named Vaijayanti. Swam, his own. Vanamalam, garland. Nilabasaha, covered with blue garments. Ekakundalaha, wearing only one earring. Halakakudi, on the handle of a plow. Krita, placed. Suvaga, auspicious. Sundara, beautiful. Pujaha, hands. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mahaindra, the King of Heaven. Varana Indra, the elephant. Eva, like. Kanchane, golden. Kaksham, belt. Udaranila, engaged in transcendental pastimes. Vivarti, wares. Translation. Shukdev Goswami continued, the demigods, the demons, the Uragas, serpentine demigods, the Siddhas, the Gandharvas, the Vidyadharas, and many highly elevated sages constantly offer praise to the Lord. Because he is intoxicated, the Lord looks bewildered, and his eyes, appearing like flowers in full bloom, move to and fro. He pleases his personal associates, the heads of the demigods, by the sweet vibrations emanating from his mouth. Dressed in bluish garments and wearing a single earring, he holds a plow on his back with his two beautiful and well-constructed hands. Appearing as white as the heavenly King Indra, he wears a golden belt around his waist and a Vaijayanti garland of ever-fresh Tulasi blossoms around his neck. He is intoxicated by the honey-like fragrance of the Tulasi flowers, hung very sweetly around the garland, which thus becomes more and more beautiful. In this way, the Lord enjoys his magnanimous pastimes. So, no purport to this text, we'll read the next text with its purport. So, text 8. Yaisheva manushuto shuto dhyayamano mumukshuna manadikala karma vasana gratitam avidyamayam hridaya krantim sattva-rajas Atamomayamanta hridayam gattahashu nirvinnati tasyanupāvam Bhagavan Swayambhuvo Narada Sahatum Varuna Zabhayam Brahmanas Samshlokayamasa. If persons who are very serious about being liberated from the material life hear the glories of Anantadeva from the mouth of a spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession, and if they always meditate upon Sankarshan, the Lord enters the cores of their hearts, vanquishes all the dirty contamination of the material modes of nature, and cuts to pieces the hard knot within the heart, which has been tied tightly since time immemorial by the desire to dominate material nature through fruitive activities. Narada Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, always glorifies Anantadeva in his father's assembly. There he sings blissful verses of his own composition, accompanied by his stringed instrument, or a celestial singer named or known as Tumburu. So purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay. None of these descriptions of Lord Anantadeva are imaginary. They are all transcendently blissful and full of actual knowledge. However, unless one hears them directly from a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession, one cannot understand them. This knowledge is delivered to Narada by Lord Brahma, and the great sage Narada, along with his companion Tumburu, distributes it all over the universe. Sometimes the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described as Uttama Shloka, one who is praised by beautiful poetry. Narada composes various poems to glorify Lord Ananta, and therefore the word Asam Shlokayam Asa, praised by selected poetry, is used in this verse. The Vaishnavas in the Gaudiya Sampradaya belong to the disciplic succession stemming from Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the spiritual master of Narada. Narada is the spiritual master of Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva wrote Srimad Bhagavatam as a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Therefore, all devotees in the Gaudiya Sampradaya accept the activities of Lord Ananta related in the Srimad Bhagavatam as authentic, and they are thus benefited by going back to Godhead. The contamination in the heart of the conditioned soul is like a huge accumulation of garbage created by the three modes of material nature, especially the modes of rajas, passion, and tamas, ignorance. This contamination becomes manifest in the form of lusty desires and greed for material possessions, as confirmed herein, unless one receives transcendental knowledge in disciplic succession, there is no question of his becoming purified of this contamination. So, Om Gana Timranda Sha Garanjana Shilakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. So the cause of the living entity's entanglement in this world is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Koranam Guna Sangasha Sadasa Janma Jonishu. That the cause of the entanglement is Guna Sangha. So Guna, of course, here means rope, qualities, or actions of three modes of material nature. So the reason we're entangled, of course, the ultimate reason is we desire Krishna body, we could turn our face away from Krishna, but the reason we have all this contamination, this dirt, which Srila Prabhupada says that we've accumulated, is because of our associating with the modes of nature. Now what does that mean, association with the modes of nature? Everything in this material world has certain modes connected to it. Everything except for Krishna consciousness, of course. And it's something like, and we've given this example many times, that everything is covered by wet paint. That means if you touch something that has wet paint, like if this chair, the paint was wet, we would get some brown or whatever on our hands. Our hand would become colored, and red, the hand would become colored by red. So when you come in contact with these modes through various means, and the most potent means of coming in contact with the modes, actually two most potent means, are the tongue and the ears. Tongue by, okay, Hare Krishna. Tongue, of course, by tasting, and the ears by hearing. So, just like it's mentioned, that in the Mahabharata, and we mentioned this before, that great personalities, Mahabhagavats, Mahajanas, became contaminated by eating contaminated food. Like grandfather Bhishma, Dronacharya, Krupacharya, they became contaminated by eating contaminated food. And so just even a great soul can actually fall down from the standard of devotional service by eating food that's not proper. And we're not just talking about being fish red, we're talking about food that is cooked by, or presented by, or whatever, served by someone who has improper consciousness. And also it's mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that even a Mahabhagavad could fall down by hearing Mayavad philosophy, personal philosophy. Specifically, that's mentioned in relationship to Shankaracharya Savirakya Vasha. That means his commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So the devotee has to be very careful. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said when he was asked about the qualities of the Vaishnava, he said the Satsangachada Vaishnavachara. The first quality is he gives up bad association. Because if you want to become clean, you got to stop throwing dirt on yourself. That's a no-brainer, isn't it? So, I mean, of course, there's always that example given in the Bhagavatam, Kundra Sotra, of an elephant who cleans himself and then he rubs or rolls in the dust later on. So what's the use of that? And of course, the elephant has a purpose because the dust actually scrubs his skin. I understand that. But the metaphor is utilized to help us understand that you have to stay clean spiritually. So therefore we have injunctions, things to avoid. So, and then on the positive side, then good association. And good association is sometimes called satsanga, meaning those who are absorbed in the eternal aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So just like, there's so many injunctions about this, satam prasangam mamavirya sampado bhakti vidkana vidkana Jadyoshana Dashiva Bhavarga Vartmani Shadavati Bhakti Anupramishati. Actually, this is more Kapilada's statement in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where he says, if you want to progress in the path of devotional service, then what? Satam prasangam. You have to be in the association of sadhus, similar thing. Prasangam, that means in their association. And then what do you do in their association? You have to hear about Krishna's wonderful, heroic, exciting activities, like we're hearing about Ananta Dev here. And the interesting thing is, this sound vibration about Krishna's heroic activities has to descend. It's not some mundane sound vibration. As Prabhupada said, it has to be heard in disciplic succession. Otherwise, it's simply a movement of the tongues and lips. Prabhupada said that if you don't hear, or if you're not connected in disciplic succession with the proper personalities, then your chanting is just simply the movement of the tongue and the lips. Of course, there's namavas, I understand that. However, one has to hear from the right person. Satam prasandam mamavirya sambhado bhavanti vritkarna. And this interesting phenomena occurs that when you hear from the right person, the sound vibration goes from the ear to the heart. Karna means ear, Vrit means heart. And so this probably explains, and the acharyas explain, there seems to be a channel between the ear and the heart. And sometimes it affects you, very, very deeply when you hear something. Seeing, not so much. When you see something, it doesn't affect you so much, unless you're completely in Maya, like a Jhana or something like that. But hearing, some special potency to hearing, it just goes right to the heart. Like if you hear some criticism of Vaishnavas, it affects you immediately. If you hear somebody about philosophy, criticism of God, it affects you immediately. If you hear some mundane song from the past, like some Beatles song, immediately you start jiving and dancing along with it. Isn't it? I mean, like if I were to see a picture of the Beatles, it wouldn't affect me at all. It just wouldn't have, just some hairy guys. Anyway, but if I hear their songs, any nonsense songs, like, whatever, except for Hare Krishna, my sweet Lord. Then immediately, what is that song? Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. I don't know if any of you know that song. Anyway, forget it. It's reference to LSD. So you hear it, it just like strikes your heart. Anyway, I know you know it. Don't sing it. It's a repository of music from the 60s in my generation. So but if you just see a picture of them, who cares about them? So the heart, the hearing process really does go directly to the heart. Bhavanti Vritkarna Rasayana Kata. And of course, hearing from the right source, then it's like a rasayana. Rasa means actually taste. Ayana. A tasty medicine. Just like if you go to an Ayurvedic doctor, if they want to give you tasty medicine, then there's the Brahmi Rasayana and Jiva Rasayana. Anyone's taken these medicines before? No? Yes. Rasayana, and it tastes good. Actually, Brahmi Rasayana is really good. I used to buy a whole bunch of it because it tasted like jam, isn't it? You put it on your bread and everything like that. It was delicious, and it helped with your brain. Did you know that? Brahmi Rasayana is made from Brahmi, and Brahmi, you know what Brahmi is? That's Ayurvedic medicine for the brain. You think better. It grows everywhere in India. Anyway, you can buy it in the West. Look under in the internet, Brahmi. Anyway, so Brahmi Rasayana, it tastes good and it's good for you. So this Rasayana Kata, it feels good, tastes good, and it's good for you. Kata means it talks about Krishna. Rasayana Kata, Joshana Dasu, Apavargam. And this way, you can proceed on the path of Apavarga, liberation. That's interesting. Liberation here is not mukti, it's apavarga. Mukti just means liberation, or also the name of Krishna, Kunda is liberation. Anyway, mukti face. Anyway, so apavarga refers to a negation of the material miseries, like pa, ma, ba, parishma, like foaming at the mouth, rolling at the ground, rolling on the ground, not ecstasy, but agony, and hard work, and finally fear and ritual. Anyway, so Apavarga Vartmani, Vartmani means path. And then, what is that path? Shraddha Tirvati Nukramashiti. That first we get Shraddha, a little bit of faith, like a little Shraddha Tatasa, Shraddha, you get a taste. And Bhakti, Anukramashiti, they follow one after the other. So it's important to have a taste. Many devotees that come to me and say, I don't have any taste for the chant. And of course, there's various reasons, as we mentioned, one can commit offenses. That's the primary reason. And if one wants to have a taste for chanting, then one has to chant with the right mood. Please, Krishna. Anyway, so reciting that. So this is the path that one gets simply by hearing. Hearing. This is actually a very most important service, hearing. And then there are other verses about this too. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, first chapter, text 4. Okay. Nivritta tarsha ubhagiyamanas, yoshra shrotra manobhiyama, kauttama shloka gunanavada, uman vidajeta mana pashubnat. What does that mean? This is like the introduction. Practically, it's like one of the nutshell verses in the 10th canto, like to all of Krishna's pastimes. It says, Nivritta Tarsha, which is the same thing as Apavarga. Tarsha, material struggle. To eliminate the material struggle, the pains, threefold misery, Nivritta Tarsha, Upadiyamana, Bhavosha Shrotra Mano Virvana. You have to hear the pleasing pastimes of the Supreme Personality of God coming from the pure devotees of the Lord. Uttama Shloka, the Lord is praised in transcendental verses. Uttama Shloka means higher verses of transcendental, and his qualities Gunanavada. But you're not going to have attraction. Puman Vinajeta Vina Puchignan. If someone is basically a killer of the animal or killer of the soul, killer of the animal will not have attraction to these particular pastimes. So that's why we stress vegetarianism and the prashadana to everybody. Because one who is a meathead or eating meat will not be able to butcher. Sometimes that person described as butcher will not be able to understand the pastimes of the Lord. So anyway, so that's our secret. You hear the pastimes from a pure devotee, you become Krishna conscious. It's very simple. Pastimes and philosophy. Because within the vibration or the sound coming from the mouth of a pure devotee are the saffron dust particles of the lotus feet of the Lord. And then Chaitodharma, the Martian, the heart becomes cleansed. When you become cleansed, you wake up, you realize who you are. It's like when you wake up in the morning with the alarm clock or with the other brahmacharis saying, wake up, time to wake up, time for Mangalarti. Then you sort of, after a few minutes, remember who you are. For some of us, it takes longer than others. Actually, I was just listening to a memory this morning at Shrutikirti's, here's another devotee's memory of Srila Prabhupada, and he said he never saw Prabhupada sleep. In other words, it wasn't like, when we get up in the morning, it's like rubbing our eyes. Where am I? But Prabhupada, he said, never saw him sleep. Close his eyes, yeah. But then, if there was any sound in the room or anything, Prabhupada would just open like that. Like that. So, anyway, so Prabhupada was always awake. So waking up by sound vibration means we remember who we are. It's natural. And we understand what our spiritual situation is in the transcendental realm. Anyway, that's Krishna consciousness. So we should hear about Lord Ananta today, but hear about all these different paths and hear the whole Bhagavatam. Every single word of the Bhagavatam is Krishna. Okay. So, anyway, keep it short since we have to leave today. So any questions or comments? Does anyone have? Yes?
So you were speaking about how we get contaminated, even great souls get contaminated by ingesting the food.
Ingesting food or hearing something? going to bars? Or?
No, to some family gatherings or something.
Oh, family gathering. Then sometimes you talk small talk. I mean, my experience is that if people are not favorable in Krishna consciousness, then you just talk about things that have nothing to do with Krishna. That may appear to be nonsense. But the reason I'm mentioning that is my own experience. Many years ago, when I first joined the Hare Krishna movement, I thought I would just go and preach my parents into becoming devotees. So I'm sure that some of you experience the negative repercussions of doing this. So I went and told my father he was a Maya. That he was going to become a whatever in the next life. And probably was, anyway, become a cow or something. Anyway, so, and he just got angry. And then he started criticizing the movement. And then he called for his friend, the psychiatrist, to examine me. He introduced me. He said, I'd like you to meet my friend, Dr. Freud. Sigmund, anyway. And, no, it wasn't Freud, obviously. But, and then suddenly my father left me alone for about 3 hours with this doctor. And he was asking me, are you happy? Do you ever feel depressed? Do you ever see, like, things floating in the air? So, I mean, that was a result of my speaking about Krishna with my father. So, it didn't work. It didn't work at all. So, eventually I told my father when I came home, let's not speak about Krishna, let's speak about something we can all relate to, let's talk politics. So then we started talking politics, and we had nice, loving relationships. Anyway, so the point is, the offense on chanting. One should not speak the glories of the Lord to those who are faithless. I mean, it's obvious, because they'll commit offenses, and they'll become inimical to Krishna consciousness, or they'll misuse the knowledge that you're giving them. So therefore, sometimes you'd have to speak. But don't, because otherwise you're going to hear something that's offensive, and that'll be detrimental. So sometimes for social things, you gotta talk some small talk. Prabhupada would do that sometimes. Oh, nice music. We're all getting contaminated. Now remembering some of the musicians, see it works, I remember some of the musicians in the 1960s. Arlo Guthrie. Remember him? Arlo Guthrie?
I don't remember this one.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry to look it over. So, so anyway, yeah, sometimes it's necessary. But not that you go in the brahmachari ashram and everyone's listening to their favorite tunes. Or the brahmacharis are telling each other how sinful they were before they joined the Hare Krishna movement. You know, by Prabhupada's mercy, I joined the movement. You want to hear what I did before I joined the movement? And the brahmacharis are sitting around, hearing love stories. So, you have to be careful. But sometimes we find it so. And then, what I saw with Prabhupada is that Prabhupada was always chanting Hare Krishna, at least in his mind. When I was with Prabhupada, even when he was doing the TV interview, he had a bead bag in his hand and was mouthing the Hare Krishna mantra while the other person was speaking. That may not always work for us, but at least the Hare Krishna mantra can say this. And whenever any thoughts or improper thoughts or anything improper comes to the mind, then we just start chanting in our mind. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Save. All right, any other questions? Yes?
So you brought up that sometimes you may have to, engage in some kind of small talk or something.
Yes, of course.
But what about specifically, like, consuming like food or something that might not be, cooked as prasadam? So you might have to, attend like a social gathering where, you know.
Fruit is fine.
Sorry?
Fruit. Fruit, nuts, water, salad. Just tell them you're a raw food vegan. I mean, the Prabhupada, when he went into people's homes and they weren't vegetarians, he would just take fruit. Prabhupada would not eat cooked food in that particular circumstance. So he was very careful. The consciousness affects matter. That is a scientific fact that's been proven even in the laboratory. That the consciousness of people can affect the molecular structure of liquids or other things like that. So we have to be careful. I mean, like myself, of course, I'll usually have someone who cooks for me, or I cook for myself. You know who my favorite cook is? You're looking at him. Anyway, it's me. I like my own food. Prabhupada said if you cook for yourself, you'll be healthy and you'll like your cooking. So, yeah, and I'm not contaminating myself with my own consciousness, so it's not a problem. So, yeah, so it's very powerful. What you put in your mouth and what you put in your ears. Very, very powerful. I mean, you can get bewildered by your sight. Usually not by the touch. I mean, you have to touch so many things I don't get bewildered. But usually through the ears, because it reminds one of one's past, or through the tongue. And one has to be very careful. If one can control the tongue, one can conquer Krishna. Wow, pretty good, isn't it? Dharmadeti Boyati Lobamoy Sudurmati. You all know the translation of that, or you just know the Bengali? Probably you just know the Bengali. And I mean, it's very interesting when I go around the movement, I ask people if they know the translation of various things that they say every day, like the Prashana prayers, and very few people know the translation. Oh Lord, this material body is a place of ignorance, and the senses are networks of past, leading death. And of all the senses, the blank is the most uncontrollable. Which sense is that? Tongue. So you, Lord Krishna, are very kind to us. You've given us this prasadam, Lord Prasadam, to help us control the tongue. So now let us take this prasadam and love call out for Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, please save us and help us. So be careful. And if you have opportunity to associate with a great devotee, just take advantage of it. Because you don't know when you're going to have that opportunity again. You know, as they say, opportunity knocks just once. But, you know, actually this morning I was listening to Shama Sundar, who was Prabhupada's assistant. And he was with Prabhupada quite a bit. And he ended up the interview by crying, you know, he said, the only thing I want to do is be with Prabhupada again. And of course you can be with Prabhupada again by listening to Prabhupada's recordings. I mean, just like last night, I was in the middle of the night having trouble staying asleep, so I just put on one of Prabhupada's songs and played it. And it was so soothing for the heart that I immediately fell asleep. It's like Bhagavatam class, it's so soothing for the heart that everybody immediately falls asleep. All the inauspicious things become eliminated from the heart. So. Peaceful. So, any other questions or comments? Yes.
You were speaking, Lord Chaitanya warns us to listen to one about this very dramatic.
Yeah, he said anyone who hears that can fall down. Yeah.
I want to ask why, because this is so appealing, probably to conditioned soul, this power.
Well, because it's so offensive. Because we have this bhakti lata bija in our hearts, you know, the creeper seed of devotion. And hearing the offense against the Lord. Of course, the Lord's devotees' offense against the Lord's devotees is described as a mad elephant offense, which really tramples the creeper. But it's so painful. When you hear someone who you love being criticized, then it's like, it's painful and it's contaminating. You know, and then you hear this, everything's one, It's all love. Krishna is just a manifestation of the impersonal Brahman. I mean, of course, I'm not serious about it. So you're not going to contaminate it right now, hopefully. It's just, it's like having stool thrown on your subtle body. And that's what it says. That one, even a Mahabhagavad who takes to an understanding of the Savirapya Vasha, which is the commentary on the Vedanta Sutra of Vaishankaracharya, could fall down. You have to be very careful what you hear. Come on. Read the newspaper if you want, but don't hear personal philosophy. Yes.
I know a devotee who studied Shankaracharya, he was a nice devotee, but now he stopped coming.
Yeah.
I was speaking about this with him, yes, now it's a proof.
Yeah, because he heard offenses. That's Krishna. And he didn't respond to offenses. Very dangerous, yes.
And also Shankaracharya makes it sound so simple and explains very nicely, and he gives examples, stories. It's very interesting and it makes sense.
Oh, you read it.
I was wondering what's all the fuss all about.
Yeah, it's very simple.
I didn't read the whole Vedanta Sutra, but then I got some commentaries and how he structures and everything.
Yeah.
Read everything. But I saw it's like he convinces you with a very nice, smooth language and everything. It's
very dangerous.
and I said, why don't we read this? And then he doesn't always stress that what we usually notice in Shankara. Sometimes he speaks about totally like about life and how life is different things that we can relate with. Not necessarily about Mayavad philosophy that we understand when we first think about. He thinks about so many other things. Oh, why don't we learn about this from Shankara? It's so interesting, you know? Why doesn't Prabhupada elaborate in this same way? And like,
He draws you in.
yeah,
It's quite dangerous. It's quite dangerous to read something offensive like that. Yes.
So the New Age movement and Mayavad philosophy, these are connected or these are two different?
New Age is basically just very sentimental
Yeah,
stuff.
the sentimentalism.
Sentimental
But
stuff.
so Mayavadis, they actually have some Shastra, and the New Age, they have
I
just...
mean, the New Age people, they can say things, but they're not really.
Yeah.
You know, they're not serious. If they believe everything is one, then you can just take their wallet from them.
So...
New Age is basically universalism.
Yeah, universalism. And yeah, it's all sorts of different things, you know, that's just hodgepodge. It's a hodgepodge of different things. But I wouldn't worry about talking to people in the New Age movement because they don't know Shankaracharya.
Yes,
They're not philosophical.
yeah.
So just, trying to help them. Of course, it's easier to help someone who's innocent than someone who thinks they know something. Like Prabhupada said, it's easier to teach a piano lessons to someone who has not taught himself how to play the piano. If someone has taught himself how to play the piano, they have to unlearn everything they learned before. So better. Anyway, so we don't worry about it. There's not too many Mayavadis out there.
Yeah.
They're just like confused, innocent, bewildered, conditioned souls. So the main thing is be careful what you hear, be careful what you eat. That's all. That's the message. Any other questions or comments? No? Everyone's so quiet. Anyway, yes.
I find it quite heavy when Bhagavatam says that if you don't have attraction to hear Bhagavatam, then you must be a butcher.
If you stop hearing.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't have attraction. Well, I mean, there's other reasons. A butcher, killer of the animal, killer of the soul. There's two ways of understanding that. I mean,
It's too heavy.
it's heavy. Because if we don't have an attraction, there's something wrong with us. There's something wrong with us, and we're committing offenses, or we're prideful. I mean, there's all sorts of different reasons why we don't have attraction. So we have to rectify whatever is there in our own hearts, so that we have an attraction. It's described in the Bhagavatam, if you find chanting the Lord's names or hearing the pastimes, if you don't feel ecstasy and quivering, your heart is steel framed. That's another statement of the Bhagavatam. So yeah, there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong with the holy names, I'll tell you that. It's not that, well, the holy names don't work. They work when I join the heart, but they don't work anymore. Gotta figure out a new method. It's not that they don't work, you don't work. So you gotta figure out what's wrong. What am I doing wrong so I don't have a taste? Because I don't have a taste. And check and correct it, and then you'll have a taste again. And if you really want to have a taste, then serve a pure devotee. Then you get more of a taste. And go out and preach Krishna consciousness, and you get more of a taste because you're serving Prabhupada. Like all you experienced when you went and distributed books, you had a real taste during the marathon. And now it's the sleeping time after the marathon. I remember when we did marathons before, not only book distribution marathons, but also producing Prabhupada's books. And we really had a taste for hearing and chanting. And it was a nectarian time. You forgot about eating, you forgot about sleeping. And then when things go back to normal, it's just like normal taste. So maybe we should have another marathon. What do you think? 20,000 books in the month of January? Another marathon. So. Anyway, everyone's doing well here. You know, you had a nice marathon. Here's your question.
How we can react politely way if somebody starts to talk with some nonsense to you?
Nonsense? What sort of nonsense?
Explain how it, like before Bhakti Yoga or something, what is not spirituous or pleasing for the mind.
Well, sometimes you just have to, if it depends on the circumstance, you just have to chant in your mind and turn off your ears. It depends. Or you can just say, you know, it's not interesting to me. You know, it just depends on who you're talking to and who you're dealing with. But try to minimize it. We have to, certainly we have to at certain times deal with people and hear some prajalpa. But minimize it. That's all. And then we'll be all right. And especially don't hear about philosophy, and especially be careful what you eat. You know, don't, if you eat in restaurants, other than Govindas, then you're taking your spiritual life in your own hands. I mean, I had to go for my mother's 90th birthday to a restaurant, but I just ate salad. And everybody else was eating, can't mention. You know, and they were all talking about how nice their fish was. And I was just like, and then sometimes we find ourselves in this situation. Yes?
I heard that it's better that we associate with atheists than Mayavadis because they're at least more sincere.
Yeah, at least they're atheists, just say, you know, I don't believe in God.
Yeah, so it's less contaminated.
I think it's better to associate with devotees, though.
Or if it's like a must situation or something.
Yeah, if you have a choice. Two friends, one who's a Mayavadi, one who's an atheist. Let's go to the atheist house. One more question. What's that?
When you were listing the examples of what you should hear, then in my mind was going one point that just came to my mind some time ago, that someone tried to explain to me that it's better to chant a few good rounds, a few good Maha mantras, than to chant. What's the point in chanting more if your mind is wondering if your chanting is not good? So that really bothered me. So
Yeah.
What would you say to such?
Well, I would say the only way you're going to become attentive is by practice. Like Krishna addresses that in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna says, you know, Chanchalai Maha Krishna Bhakti Balavadridam Dajaham Nigraham Yevayo Ivashudushkaram. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, very strong with Krishna, and to subdue it is more difficult than controlling the wind. And Krishna ultimately answers that by constant practice and determination. And my experience is when I chant 64 rounds, which is on a codicil if I get a chance, that the rounds get more attentive as you go along. Because you're practicing. And when you first start chanting in the morning, it's a little more difficult. Then, just practically, you become more attentive with the more chanting. But don't chant with the consciousness that you have to do it. That's a problem. Because then you're going to be resentful and rebellious. Chant with the consciousness that you're choosing to chant because, let's say, you want to be Krishna conscious, because you want to please your spiritual master, because you want to have the potency to preach. You want a number of nice reasons. But you always have to rephrase your motivation. Instead of I have to chant 16 rounds. It should be, I'm choosing to chant 16 rounds, for whatever reason. And then, I just find the more you chant, the more attentive you get, isn't it? Because that's just an excuse, better to chant one Hare Krishna attentively than chant 16 rounds inattentively. That's crazy, because if you chant more attentively, if you were actually attempting to chant attentively. Anyway, that's my personal experience. The more you chant, the more attentive it gets. And I know after chanting 64 rounds, the next day is more attentive too. Because I practiced the whole day of training. It's like, it's like the more you lift weights, the more weights you're going to be able to lift. Right? Just like I went to the brahmachari place in the roof yesterday, or the top floor. And there are these weights there. Right? Who's the one who lifts all those weights?
There's few of us.
Few of us. They're pretty heavy. But you have to work your way up, didn't you? First you start with a half kilo. Half kilo. And then two kilos. So, and you add different, it's called a barbell. Sometimes called a dumbbell. Anyway, so you keep adding weights on the end. Ladies don't know about this, because they're just sweet and innocent. But anyway, so you keep adding weights, and you can do more and more and more. And if you just say to yourself, well, it's better just to lift half kilo sincerely. Then you're always going to be weak, right? Actually, I was able to lift the whole thing yesterday. Isn't that not true? Even though, I'm very old, I was able to lift the whole barbell with all the weights on. Because I exercise every day. Wow. So that's a good example. It's better to lift more weights than less weight.
There's also the example of becoming a concert pianist.
Yeah, practice. Yes, like I say,
The goal is great, but
you gotta
you have
practice.
to put a lot of hours into it to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can also say it's better to play one note on the piano than play many notes. But who's going to sit and listen to you play one note over and over again, even if you do it perfectly? It's kind of boring. So, it's this crazy argument. Because obviously they're not attentive if they're chanting one round. Because attentiveness means really putting your heart. It takes some time. In my experiences, that when you first start chanting, the mind's all over the place. And you just gotta keep calming it. You gotta say, calm down, calm down. Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. That means peace. And then you really enter into a whole rhythm after a while with chanting. When you get a long period of time to chant. And nobody's talking to you. Sometimes in the japa period in the temple, the other devotees, they're talking to you, or making noise, or slamming doors. Every time someone slams a door in the temple, it takes a few Hare Krishnas to get back to concentration again, doesn't it? So it's important Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, like, if one's having trouble concentrating, they can even put something over, go into a closet or put something over their head, so they don't hear anything else.
Did he have special small dark room?
Yeah.
Like with strong door.
Yeah, look at the Bhajan Kutirs that they had. There wasn't room for two people in those Bhajan Kutirs. They were very small. And they would just sit there with the 3 or 4 walls around them and chanted the holy name.
Was he Jagannath Das Babaji went to the
Jalangi. Yeah, oh, the storeroom, yeah.
Yeah.
So nobody would bother them. So, I find, when I go to Govardhan, I find my best job is when I'm circumambulating alone without anybody else. Because if other people are there, I'm just thinking how to take care of them, where they are, hope the monkeys didn't bite their ear off or something. Because I'm naturally protective of the devotees. But, I really relish when I could just take off alone around Govardhan and just walk really slowly, with my eyes closed. And just, open every few mantras just to see that I don't walk into a pile or whatever. So, and you just concentrate, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. It's really wonderful. And then I just walk very slowly around Govardhan. Just very slowly, just hearing the whole, that's my favorite time, when I can do that, when nobody's there. Not that I don't like devotees, but it's just, so the more we chant, the better it is. What can I say?
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's not true that it's better to chant one Hare Krishna or one round attentively. Because you're not, attentively doesn't mean just that you're hearing, it means you have the right consciousness. It's prayerful chanting. And if you have the right consciousness, you won't be able to stop. And that's what I experienced when I chant 64 rounds. I can't stop. It just keeps going. I've gotten up to, I think, 80-something rounds. And the only reason I stopped is because I had to do something. But otherwise, it just rolls on. And you can really understand how you got stop, or not completely. But you can understand, he's chanting, 192 rounds, approximately, because it's 3 lakhs is not quite 192 rounds. But he's chanting, and he's chanting 64 in his mind, 64 softly, and 64 really loudly.
And 1 lakh is 58 rounds.
58 rounds, so it's less than 64, anyway. So, but in any case, whatever he's doing, he's in ecstasy. And you will experience that too. You take an Ekadasi and you chant 64 rounds on an Ekadasi.
Or every day.
What?
Or every day.
Or every day? You do every day? That's pretty good.
6 weeks.
Wow.
Minimum 6.
Great soul. But at least the devotees can try it on one Ekadasi or something like that. And your life will change. Your whole life will change, George. If you do that, you'll understand more about the holy name. But don't force it. Just do it very peacefully. Don't. If you have it with the wrong consciousness that you have to do it, it's not going to be good. But and if you want to chant 64 rounds, try getting up earlier too. Because usually on the days I chant 64 rounds, I have 64 rounds done. I mean, not 64. Usually I have 16 done almost by Mangalarti. And then it really flows the rest of the day. And when you chant 16 rounds before Mangalarti, you see the deities better. Isn't it? I mean, it's of course the deities are always alive, but everything for you comes alive. It's really amazing. Everything's there in the holy name. I have faith in Krishna's name. Okay? And everything's there in Prasadam too. I have faith in Prasadam. All glories to His divine grace, to Prabhupada, to Prabhupada. Thank you all for your hospitality. Thank you, Nanda, for working so hard. He's a real hero.